All right, for more on all this, we're joined by trial attorney and legal analyst Misty Marris, Flint McColgan, the police and courts reporter for the Boston Herald, who was in the courtroom as the verdict was read, and of course, Ronnie Estanislao, who was a juror in Reed's first murder trial. Flint, I'm going to start with you because you were in the court. What a stunning verdict. What was the reaction in the courtroom?
Well, as you mentioned in your lead up to this, the eruption of the noise of her supporters outside, it really drowned out a lot of that verdict reading and the subsequent sentencing. A lot of me and the other reporters kind of looked at each other to make sure we understood the verdict on the second count. So it was loud in there and emotional.
What did O'Keefe's family do?
Yeah, they filed out right after the verdict was read. Paul O'Keefe, John O'Keefe's younger brother, he put his head in his hand, not upon her acquittal for the murder charge, but when she was also acquitted for manslaughter. He looked down, put his head in his hand. They left before sentencing and before the jury left.
And I'm sure they could hear all those cheers from outside as well.
Yes, they did. I mean, no one could avoid it. In fact, in post courthouse discussion, you played the clip of Karen Reed talking. I was within 2 feet of her. I couldn't hear a single word. I had to listen to the video playback too. So.
Ronnie, I've got to get your reaction to this. You were a juror in the first trial. You predicted on this show a few nights ago that you thought there would be another hung jury or an acquittal. We heard today it's an acquittal on those serious charges. Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. I think I knew that they would find a verdict for the first charge and the last charge. But the second charge was different this time around since there was OUI. So I'm glad of the results and how it turned out. Unfortunate for the O'Keefes, though, we don't have closure on that piece.
Yeah, you've said from the start, though, that you think that Karen Reed is innocent of these charges.
Agreed. That's true.
Yeah, and after listening, you were a juror in the first trial and listened to all the evidence. Misty, what was the difference between trial number 1 and trial number 2 that do you think led to this acquittal? Because she's now, at least when it comes to criminal charges, this is a pretty much a get out of jail free and go live your life card.
Right, absolutely. So it was pretty much the same legal theories presented by both the prosecution and the defense, but the trials were actually quite different. Prosecutors showed video clips of Karen Reed in all of these different media interviews, which they thought were going to really sway the jury. Very, very obviously, they fought tooth and nail to get them in. But to me, the biggest difference was Michael Proctor, the lead investigator. He did not take the stand. He took the stand in trial 1, and it was a disaster for prosecutors confronted with terrible
Let's just remind our audience, he was the lead investigator on the murder. He had all sorts of leaked text messages, not leaked, they were admitted into
crude,
court.
Unprofessional, shared with other people who were outside of the investigation. Showing bias, a lot of impropriety. Ultimately, his testimony, those text messages, that led to him losing his job. There was an investigation. He was terminated. So going into trial 2, prosecutors had to make a strategic decision. Do you put him on the stand again, knowing what's to come? He's in a worse position. He's been terminated because of his conduct with respect to this case, or not put him on the stand. They opted to keep him off. He was never called. They read some messages in regarding the investigation through another witness, tried to get ahead of it. But you know what the defense did, Elizabeth? They pointed to that empty chair and they said,
why isn't the lead investigator here?
Why wouldn't the lead investigator be a part of this trial, especially when the crux of the defense argument was that this was a shoddy investigation focused only on Karen Reed and didn't look for anyone else?
Ronnie, you listened to I'm sorry, now I'm Proctor, thank you. Officer Proctor testify in the first trial. What was your impression of him as you watched him under oath?
I think it was, I don't know. I think that it was maybe a biased investigation. It wasn't very well done. It could have been done better, especially given the circumstances. They didn't do all of the interviews that they needed.
Super quick, Misty. It's not over. She now faces a civil suit filed by Officer O'Keefe's family.
Yes, and the standard and burden of proof is preponderance of the evidence, much lower. So that's a whole other legal battle.
So she's not quite out of the woods quite yet. All right. Misty Marris, Flint McColgan, Ronnie Estanislao, thank you all so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.